This podcast could potentially have adult language, adult themes, definitely drinking, and possibly the possibility of sexual content. Listener discretion is advised.
Okay, keep it together, Erica.
Welcome to Drinking Authors, the Literary Briefs edition. I am your host, Erica Lance. Our sponsor today is Skunk Brothers. So my COVID cough. Skunk Brothers Spirits, coupon code DWA10.
We're trying.
My co-host that led us into this brilliant episode is already had an entire can of cider, so she's drunk as a skunk, Valerie Willis.
On can two.
I know you're going to talk about it in a minute, but we're going to introduce our amazing guest first because don't forget to like and subscribe. Our amazing guest today is Robin Mimna. Mimna. Oh, woo. Why is that a lot of consonants that threw me off with my... Okay, let's talk about what we're drinking. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm almost done. This is why I'm not doing so well. I am almost done with my Sonic cherry limeade that I put some of the lightning in.
Isn't the lightning that one time with Charles Gannon and you were starting to slur and we were like, are you okay, Erica?
Yeah.
That lightning. Okay.
That lightning. Charles Gannon loves and appreciates me. I'm just going to say that.
It was awesome seeing him at Dragon Con.
I love and appreciate him too. Okay, Val, what are you drunk on?
I am drunk on Bean Nectar, which is, I guess, an independent brewer who does Zombie Killer, because I don't know when this is posting, but this is a hard cider with honey and cherry, and it's pretty smooth. What is this? What am I doing here? 5.5% alcohol, and I'm totally getting smashed off of just barely 2 cans.
You're my favorite lightweight, my friend. Oh, I forgot my other drink, which is, it's got gin in it. I forget what the rest was. Yes, I was. It's fine. I don't remember what else I put in there. It's good.
We're done. We're done. We're taking great naps after all this.
Yes. Yeah. That's happening.
Robin, what do you have?
I have a little bit left of my iridescent gin or my iridescent French 75 in a skull.
It's okay. We're betting 1,000 here. It's literally what they don't know is
very good.
Well, they all know that.
No, they all know. They're listening to us. It's being recorded
for an hour. So we're not.
You're so spectacular today. Let's start off with our rapid fire questions. Robin, what is your favorite book of all time?
A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens.
Oh my God. I don't think anybody's ever said that before. Why is that your favorite?
Well, he was brilliant. I think it's my opinion. I think it's the greatest story ever written, but it's got everything. It's got ghosts. It's creepy. It's got incredible moral lessons. It's political. It's emotional. It's even got a little tiny romance in it. It's got everything, but yeah, that's why.
Fun history about Charles Dickens' The Christmas Carol. His publisher refused to publish it and he hated it. So Charles Dickens funded the publishing the book and then sold it at the farmer's market while reading it. So he is accredited to being a self-publisher and an open mic guy.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. Who knew?
See, there it is. The history buff just.
He also wrote it simply, for the purpose of making money. Like he needed money. Yeah. And so he wrote it and but it's brilliant. Pretty much like everything he did was brilliant, but.
Very cool. What is your least favorite book of all time?
The Me Before You by Mojo. Am I saying that right? Do you know what I'm talking about? I forget her name. Mojo something. Me Before You. It was a movie. It was a bestseller, and it was a movie. Okay. No thanks. Yeah, it wasn't my fave.
It didn't hit our.
Didn't no. It was. I didn't like the end. I don't want to spoil it for other people who might want to read it. But
yeah, bad ending to any book or show can be quite. It can ruin the whole experience.
Mhm.
I want you to replay what you just said.
I don't know. The words did not come out the way I was thinking them, so I have no idea what I just said. So everyone
You
enjoy.
just said a bad ending can ruin a book or a show.
I'm not talking anymore.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next question because that was one of the most adorable things
I am
you've
not
ever
allowed
said.
to have zombie killer because apparently I'm the zombie and it's killing me.
Or maybe it's going to kill you and turn you into a zombie. That could happen. Okay, Robin, what is a book or a movie or a TV show that's made from a book that you think they did a really good job with?
Bridgerton.
Oh, yes. Nobody said that, but I agree. I agree. Are you glad they're skipping 3 and going to 4?
I don't feel any kind of way about it. They're both good books. Me and my sister are reading. Actually, my sister I don't know if have you guys seen that thing where, oh God, what do they call it? Where you get the book and they give you presents with it. Have you heard this?
The book box.
The box thing where you get the book and you get like 3 wrapped presents that you open on certain pages. Well, the Bridgerton ones, you got this thing. It was like $200. It's crazy. My sister bought it for me for Christmas, where you get the books and one was signed by the author. And you get the presents, and I'm like super addicted to it. So we're doing that. So we're reading the books. The second box with the next 3 books will be here in like November, and so we're excited about that. So we're kind of reading the books as we go through the show, but we're ahead of the show at this point. But
that's probably a good thing because I feel like it's sometimes better to have the book under your belt than the movie or TV show first.
Definitely. I have trouble reading a book if I know how it ends, if I know what's going on.
Yeah, but apparently sometimes that's not the case from what I heard about where the crawdads sing.
I haven't seen the movie, but I did read the book, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, apparently. I just finished the book and apparently the movie does not go that same direction, but let's move on. What about a TV show or movie that did absolutely horrible to the book?
The adaptation of Jane Eyre, the last one. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Had the girl from Alice in Wonderland in it. Who am I talking about? God, I'm terrible with names.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of Jane Austen.
Jane Eyre is it was a Bronte sister that wrote it, but I love that story. But the adaptation was really terrific all the way up until they just lopped the end off the story completely. Like, we don't need the rest of that. Like, we're just going to end it right here. And I was like, and then the credits start rolling and I was in shock. I was like, what do you mean we're not going to see the whole like last 5 scenes of the, okay.
We don't need those. They were just,
I don't need those. Just the payoff. It's fine. We can just, I guess the director or the writer, we're like, you know how it ends. You don't need to.
So what is, if you could be any paranormal or fantastical creature, what would you be and why?
Paranormal or fantastical creature? Oh gosh, that's a really good question. I think that I would be Doctor Strange because I really like when they do that thing and the circles come out. Like, it's super cool looking. I don't know. It's a weird answer.
No, it's a different answer. I don't think anybody's ever said
I want to be Doctor Strange because he makes cool circles with it.
It's totally legit.
Yeah, so does the Karate Kid. I could have just said the Karate Kid.
I was going to say wax on, wax off. You got this nailed. It's fine.
Right. I love both, actually. That's a really good show, by the way. It's not an adaptation of a book, but it's still a good show.
True. Okay. What about if you could cast one character from your book, who would you cast and why? And who would you cast them? Who would you cast in the part?
Oh God. I'm really terrible with actors' names, like off the top of my head. Like, I have to constantly Google them. You guys saw Pretty in Pink?
Yeah.
80s. Great.
Who played
the asshole? You know who I'm talking about?
James Spader?
James Spader. I would have James Spader be the dad in this book because I would have him be Francis's dad because he Francis Hughes. It's all, a lot of this is inspired by John Hughes movies because that's what I grew up on, and I would love to see some of the characters from those movies play the characters in this if it was going to be a movie. That would be cool.
That's
Very
a great
cool.
point.
Have you
Like
watched
Molly
the
Ringwald
Black-
could play the mom. Like I would totally like freak out over that kind of stuff. Like,
Have you watched The Blacklist with James Spader in it?
I did. I didn't finish it. I got a little weird after a while, but I did watch it, I think in the beginning years ago. He's
Yeah,
fantastic in everything he does. But
he really is. And so is Molly Ringwald. She was just in the Dahmer. She played the stepmom in the Dahmer.
I have not seen the Dahmer. I'm getting mixed things. Half the people are telling me it's amazing. The other half are like, don't watch it if you want to sleep at night. And like,
Well, I will say it's very interesting because one of the things they talk about, I write books about serial killers and stuff like that. So I will say they did a very good job of humanizing and showing the story. Like it's his story, but showing it from the victim's point of view instead of they're just these nameless people that he killed, because there were 19 of them total,
yeah.
which a lot of people don't realize and don't realize really the history of how this went down in the news media and everything that went down around it and how we got away with it and stuff like that, because there's a lot of social things in the book and stuff, but it is graphic. You do like it because it's made by the same guys that make American Horror Story. So
Oh gosh, they're not.
yeah,
Great about
so
that then, huh?
it is graphic,
Good
but I mean, I
drink
think
over
a lot of people didn't realize what this story was and how it was told because because he came in and confessed. Like a lot of people don't know this, but he literally sat for days and days and let confessions from the beginning and everything he could remember and stuff like that. So this was built around that and the victim stories that they had and things like, that people interacted. So it's actually really, really well done, but it's very intense. And if you're not
Intense
a
is the word
fan
I'm
of that
hearing,
kind of
yeah.
stuff, because it's real life intense.
Whew. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a look.
Okay. What is your favorite weird food combination?
Is it weird? Bacon and avocado? It's not
No.
weird.
No.
Quite
Weird.
hungry.
Gosh.
But well, wait. How does one eat their bacon and avocado?
Actually, I would do cheese, bacon, and avocado. Like I would just like get a piece of cheese and put like bacon and avocado on it and eat it like that. And I was like addicted to it like for a whole summer. Like I was like eating nothing but
Roll up.
it was probably not good for you because that's what is that fat and fat like.
No, I
Yeah,
think keto
it was
would be okay.
delicious.
Keto and Atkins would be okay with that. Low carb would. It just depends on what
Probably.
else you're eating around it. If you're
Maybe
like
not
I'm gonna
3
eat
meals a
that
day, but
and then go eat some ice cream, your body might be like, I'm just gonna hold on to this. Thank you.
like if I put it like in a lettuce wrap or added some veg or anything to it, it would have probably been okay. But I'm literally just eating like 3 fattening things stacked together. But it was delicious. You should try it.
It sounds delicious. Okay, but that's not completely weird. We need weirder.
Okay.
Mustard on watermelon.
Yeah,
I'm single, so I eat a lot of weird. I have like I have a single person's fridge, which is like pickles and French bread and like cheese and olives, and I'll just like throw anything that looks good to me on a plate that doesn't necessarily go together, and I'll just eat that. Maybe standing up in front of the fridge, maybe on the counter. Like,
you're like, I'm gonna make a charcuterie board that
right,
involves
and
nothing that's on a
four-man
charcuterie board.
which is just like olives and cheese and like might be in cellophane. It's like nothing fancy. Whatever works.
No, I like it. I like it. Val, question?
Oh, question. All right. Are you a pantser or a plotter?
Am I a what?
A pantser or a plotter? So do you have to write out a plot and then start writing, or do you just sit down and just write and just follow the story?
I don't do an outline. Like I won't write out an outline, but I do think about scenes and how I want them to go before I write it. Does that make sense? Like I just sort of like, but I'll do it like one scene at a time.
It's like a think tank. Like,
Right.
okay, writing,
Like I'll have it in my
this is what I'm
head, but
writing
I won't.
today, and then you go at it.
Right.
To me,
I
that's
feel like if I write it down, it can't change. Like, so
Ooh.
and that sometimes changes. So, you know, I just.
Because I was going to ask why, but you just answered that. Erica, why are you laughing?
So look.
She's like, I'm enjoying this. Val's allowed to drink zombie.
You know what, Val, I'd like you to ask the next question as well.
I like Val's questions.
Okay. Do you well shit. Oh, you gotta put me on the spot because now my brain just went brr. There's like a flat line. I could hear like the heart monitor flatlining in my head, and I'm like, okay. As a writer, what do you feel that you do well? Like, do you feel like you do character development well? Something that you feel that you're natural at writing at?
I think I'm pretty strong with dialogue. I think my dialogue is strong. It always kind of has been. I feel like R.L. Stine taught me how to write dialogue. I always say that because I read his dialogue and his books were really dialogue heavy and good. Yeah, I think it's dialogue. You know, I think it's fairly natural when it comes out. I'm absolute shit at descriptions though. Like I will go through a whole book. You won't know where it is or what it is, just people talking. Like, you know, and my writers group has to point that out to me. That's awesome conversation, Robin. Where are they though? Are they floating in space? Are they, you know, like
whose house are they at? Are they
right? Are they
Are
they in a field? Are they, you know, what's happening? And they're in a house. You didn't get that? Like, they're like, no, because you didn't say it. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll go back and but.
Well, it's way better than describing the house for 2 chapters that has no relevance whatsoever in the story. I would much rather try to imagine where characters are having a conversation than be told in a terrible detail. The exact location, the color of the wallpaper, including where it's faded and where what did you say, Val?
I said this tree leaned to the left, the other one was twisted to the right, and then the other tree. That's how Tolkien writes.
Oh, Tolkien. I love his stories, but I struggle reading Tolkien. I have been accused of using that, though. I do agree that there are some things you should let the reader try and imagine, that if you describe every little detail that you're kind of taking that away from. But I have been accused of using that as an excuse not to write description. I'm like, well, I want the reader to imagine. They're like, you want the reader to imagine the setting because you're really supposed to have that. That's part of the package of the book, Robin. You're supposed to give it to them.
And the run with it, right?
Yeah.
And that's as a writer myself, I also struggle with that. Like dialogue comes, everyone's like, "Oh, this dialogue is amazing. Where'd you learn to do that?" I'm like, I didn't. The people talk in my head, and I just record what they say.
Exactly.
So that's where that comes from.
I often just write a lot of dialogue and then go in after the fact and add in description and stuff like that. So,
as a reader, Oh, I thought I was asking more questions.
No, if you've got one, I was going to ask about reviews, but you go ahead, Val. I'm impressed. You've got questions.
Now the questions are flowing. I don't know if it was that extra sip of the cider. I don't know. Shit, what was it?
The zombie's taking over.
Oh, okay. As a reader, is there a certain pet peeve that will make you not finish a book? Because you already
if it's slow and doesn't have like I write dialogue well, I think, because I like reading dialogue. And if it's like long descriptions, like I think I tried reading Lord of the Rings and I didn't even make it through Concerning Hobbits because I couldn't it was just so much description, and I was like, oh, I'll just watch the movies. But like I don't have the patience. My patience level is really like terrible. So
So your book's out, you got reviews. Have you been reading your reviews?
I have. I think I've finally gotten to a place where it's not crucial to my daily well-being whether somebody wrote a good review or not. It's hard reading those reviews. Like most of them are overwhelmingly positive, and that's super great. But those like one or two like hit you in the ribs. I don't like it,
That's right. As an author, I'll just tell you that if you like, you have to decide what you're going to read the reviews for. Everybody's not going to like your book, no matter what. It's never going to happen. Not everybody on the planet likes your book. That's why, a lot of people recommend, we said it on the show a million times, go look at your favorite, very popular book and click on the 1-star reviews.
Yeah, that's a fun.
It gives you an idea of what, how people, go look at Twilight if you want to see. 1-star reviews. But the only thing I think authors, if you can't have a thick skin walking into it, and a lot of authors, this is your baby, like can't have a thick skin, you have to walk it, like I look at it like this. Well, thank you very much, regardless of what you said. You gave me money. I appreciate it. I look at it, but if you can't look at it like that, you have to either go in going, is there anything they're saying that's technically something I need to pay attention to? Meaning it says that you change tenses all the time. It's, it says that you have horrible grammar, something like that. If that happens more than once, maybe you got to pay attention to what they're saying because there's something wrong with your book. But otherwise, walk away, because reviews aren't for the author.
They're for readers. It's a reader to a reader. Like my so I'm gonna tell you, I write cryptid humorous erotica about urban legends and stuff. So Sleeping with Sasquatch, and there's a 1-star review where someone complained and they go, this is a book about the other woman, it was smutty, and I'm like, yeah, it's supposed to be, it's erotica. Like this, I wasn't going for a sweet romance Hallmark here. Like they're like, all she thinks about is sex, and I'm like, pretty sure that's what this book is about.
Did you write one about a kraken?
No, but I know a few about a kraken.
There was one I read that's similar. It's called Stalked by the Kraken or something like that. It was like
or
it was really good.
There's a ton of those, but I mean, I can tell you for my I have a humorous erotica series that I write, and I got a 3-star review from a gentleman who said this book should not be used by men as dating advice.
It's an erotica novel.
Okay.
It's a humorous erotica written from a female's perspective.
Titled My Home on Horror Island.
Yeah, it's called My Home on Horror Island. And he said it should not be used as dating advice for men. And I was like, there is literally nothing about this book, the categories it's in, the blurb, anything that would give you the idea that that's what you should do with it. Like literally the blurb starts with, when she starts looking for Mr. Right and looks for Mr. Right now.
Some poor woman or a couple of women out there have lived through your chapters in real life.
Oh my God. Well, like, I had two, I mean, most of the reviews are really terrific and I love them. And some of them are really fantastic. And I like, so great. I cried when I read it, but I'll give you an example, 2 reviews. One was a girl who wrote, I don't know if it was a girl, I think, but she wrote, I didn't, she gave me a 2-star review and said, I don't really like YA. That was the review. And I said, okay, well,
but that's
sure.
Okay when someone sees that review, they're like, I love YA. This
okay.
book's for me.
Another girl wrote, 5 paragraphs on outlining all the things I could have done better. And it was a fairly thoughtful and, not impolite review, where she also gave me like 2 stars. And she said, I think you just could have done better here, here, and here, and here. And that's how I feel about it. And I think she's right,
Well, here's the thing though, look up the reviews that person has done. And you'll see she probably gives writing advice to every review she does. And it would be interesting to see if she's an actual writer.
Right.
Yep. It's true. I try not to follow them. I try not to chase them down. You agree. I've looked at some of them, if they give me a bad time, I'd be like, look, and their average score is like 2, and I say, okay, so they're just tough. They're
not tough. They're trolls. That's it. There's a difference. It's not tough.
Yeah, a lot of my 1 and 2 stars that I've seen across the board as a publisher looking at my authors, stuff. Most of the time when I follow those reviewers and see, okay, what other books are they reviewing? What genres do they like? What authors do they like? Like what is it appeals to them? Most of the time, it's very rare that I see that they have higher stars above what they've already given. They're just raining on people's parade. And that's, if that's just happens. And that's why, like Erica said, like, remember that reviews are for the readers, for readers. Readers look at a product review and they're like, oh, they gave her 2 stars because they didn't like YA. It's clearly marked YA. They're going to feel the same way you did when you read it. But they can also expose trigger warnings for a reader who may not want to read that and would have you dodged another bad review. But at the end of the day, just long as it's not something that is alarming, like your tense issues, your grammar issues, things how you told your story is how you were wanting to tell the story. If they wanted to tell a different story, they can sit their butt in the chair and write a book like you did.
Yeah, there was that same review where the girl, it was thoughtful and everything like that, and she I think was a little, because my main character is plus size, and I think that one of the things she said is that I did not make that a big enough issue in the book, and she felt like it should be. And my thoughts on that were, keep in mind, she said some very interesting things that I agreed with, but this one I was like, well, but that's not what the book was about. This book happens to have a character who's plus size, but it was not necessarily about her being plus size. That wasn't, I think that I would like to see normalized as plus size characters where the plot is not revolved around the fact that they need to lose weight or they need to resolve that in some way, that they can just sort of be who they are.
The characters in My Home on Whore Island, she's plus size.
Yep.
I don't talk about her being plus size in the entire thing because, I talk of, one of the things, and we have to wrap up in a couple of minutes, but I love the show Schitt's Creek, for instance, because it doesn't at any point in time talk about, like, I think that if you have to point it out and have to keep having stuff about it, like you talk about the David character in Schitt's Creek, right? Which is, and at no point in time do they go, well, he's gay, he's gay, blah, blah. Like, it's never explained that way. Life just happens and it's there. The only conversation about it, right, is the wine conversation he has.
Which is an amazing dialogue, by the way.
Yeah, brilliantly written, but and it's not highlighting, and it doesn't make it like, oh, this is a show that has a gay character like that. And I agree with you. I think if we don't just have descriptions and that's the description of the character, unless it's some sort of struggle that character is having. And like, for instance, it's a book about coming out. Well, if it's a book about coming out, you're discussing what you're going through to go through that particular process. If you choose to do that in your book, I'm not saying people have to, but if the character is inherently plus size, if character is inherently a different race or something like that, we don't have to talk about it like that is the highlight of the book. Well, when she walked in the room next to her skinny friend, that plus size character, blah, blah, like, is that relevant to the story? It's not. But what it sounds like to me is this person who wrote this review desperately wants to be your developmental editor. And you're not.
She wants to work for free, Al. Oh.
I don't think so. I don't think she wants you to tell the story you were telling. So, okay, Val, I'm going to let you ask the absolute final question in this shameless self-promotion time.
Oh, man. Final question. What advice would you give new writers? who want to follow down the path of releasing their first book?
I would advise them to join a writers group and get involved and get, start building that community, because they are the best resource I ever found. This book would not be here. In fact, I did, in part dedicated it to them, because they were with me every step of the way, helping me edit it, helping me get it into shape, giving my advice, critiquing it, beta reading for me, and all that. You can't buy that kind of support, from any, editor, developmental editor and stuff like that. Just people who champion your book and want to see you succeed, and you doing the same. Plus, critiquing other people's work is great experience for writers and reading and getting it done. And so yeah, that would be my advice.
I agree. Find your tribe. Robin,
Right.
Shameless self-promotion time, my friend. Hold up the book. Where can they find you? Let's do it.
Okay, my book is Hating Jesse Harmon, and you can find that on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Immortal Works website, which is my publisher, and you can go to my website at www.robinmimna.com. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's hard not to find me. Pretty much all of it. So
it's hard not to just stumble across Robin here on the podcast. That's fine. I love it. Robin, thank you so much for being on the podcast. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Absolutely. I just want to say you froze for a second, but what was cool is you froze holding your book like this.
I didn't freeze. I just held it for a really long time.
Yeah, and your mouth wasn't moving yet. You were doing voices, which kind of creeps me out now that you said it like that. So it's fine. It's creepy. I won't sleep tonight. I appreciate that. This has been Drinking with Authors, the Literary Briefs edition. I've been your host, Erica Lance. My amazing co-host has been Valerie Willis.
I love you guys.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
She's ignoring me.
No, I'm not ignoring you. I just said don't forget to like and subscribe.
Comment, share, reach out to us, drinkingwithauthors@gmail.com. Did we say our sponsor was Skunk Brothers? Code DWA10. I'm trying to remember the things. I'm just going to unload. The floodgates have opened it, and I'm going to close them now.
Okay, that would be good. You've gone way down a path. Robin, thank you so much for being a guest, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you for having me.